Alright, so this video is going to be an equalization. I'm going to teach you guys how to EQ a kick, because this is something I had a lot of problem with. Let's just say. First of all, I have my kick, I already have a little pattern rolled into some basic crap, nothing really major or anything, just a kick. Simple pattern. It's in my first mixer channel, FL Studio. No matter what DAW you're using, it's irrelevant. Just have a DAW that has an EQ, they all have EQs, it's all the same thing. I'm using this particular EQ in FL Studio because it actually gives you a visual. And we're going to visualize. Here's my kick. Now obviously it didn't sound like that when I started. It sounded like this. I loaded a kick. Obviously you don't want your kick to sound like that. That's horrible. It's a bass instrument. It shouldn't be hitting in the mids and in the trebles. Also, you don't want to have unnecessary frequencies you can hear anyway in the bottom interfering with your sub bass sounds that you'll have in there. Here we go. Let's roll a high pass filter on. High pass filter, what it does is rolls off all the sound on this side of the line, and you can hear it. It's that simple. That's what it does. It cuts off bass on this side of the line back. So the further you bring it up, the more bass it cuts out. So this particular kick hits the strongest around about 56 Hertz. Now, obviously, we want to get rid of all that stuff rolling off the other directions. We're going to put a low pass filter on the bass section because it's a bass instrument. We want a low pass, cut off all that sound on this side of the line. Now, we want a little bit of it to roll to the mid section, just a little bit, the low mid section only, just because you have speakers that can't hit that 2 ohm frequency. You know, those 2 ohm low sub bass 20 Hertz sounds and stuff like that. You know, no iPhone is going to pick up anything at 40 to 50, 60, 70 Hertz, you know, but around 96 to 120 Hertz, you know, your typical car system will pick it up good, your iPhone or something will pick it up. So, and that's what you're allowing to happen, is you're allowing the bass to roll off. At this particular case, I'm rolling it off at about 150 Hertz. It's still in the bass section. It's cutting off with the bass, but allowing a little bit to roll off into that low mid section, so those other speakers that aren't as big as the big subwoofer in the trunk of your car can hit it. And if you mix your kick like this, it'll actually sit better in your mix. Obviously, you have to mix your other instruments like this too. You know, you have, for example, your kick or your snare. Like here's a snare, for example. We'll mix the snare in with it. The snare is hitting it around right there. Put a high pass filter on. We don't need all this vibrating sound below it. It's not helping anything. It's hitting right there. So we'll put the high pass filter right pretty much on it. Doesn't make a difference in the way it sounds, obviously, because this is the loudest part that we hear. Everything that vibrates below it we don't need. Now obviously the same thing goes with your treble. You want to pass off any frequency. See, over here to here, at 20,000 you're not hearing any of the differences. At 14 we're not hearing it. No, we are. So with this snare, around 14,000 or so, a little bit more than, I mean, I'm not going to, you know, make it precise or anything, but you want to roll off the high end to the point where you're not hearing the difference and taking out. You don't want to make it sound like you flattened it out. You want it to still have its airiness and its treble, but no snare needs to hit anything at 18 or 20,000 Hertz. As a matter of fact, typically when you're recording, when you're mixing it, you typically cut off anything under 20 Hertz and anything above 18,000 Hertz anyway, most of the time. There's not many instruments that are going to need that kind of frequency range. So we've rolled off the excess at the top here, vibrating off. And you don't have to do this necessarily. You can do this in the master track. It's just that this helps clear up the track as far as I'm concerned. You can't hear the difference really right now, but when you have your whole mix put together, just cutting out certain frequencies and certain instruments where you don't need that particular frequency is just going to make the mix sound a whole lot better. So there's some people that might disagree with that, you know, in cutting off a lot of your top end, but from my research and from my reading and what I've heard myself from my mixing experiences over the last 4 years, it is always important to cut off frequencies on the top and the bottom that you don't need. So granted that a snare is a mid-range instrument, you can't cut off the treble on a snare because obviously it's going to kill the sound and you can hear it. See, it drowns it out. You don't want to drown it out. You just want to cut off all that perceivable treble that we can hear. I'm sorry, the treble that we cannot hear. You only want to keep the treble that we perceivably can hear with our own ears. Anything you can't hear within any section you don't need, because it muddies up the track. And that's what equalization is about. It's about unmuddying a track. It's about making instruments stand out in the frequency ranges where they need to stand out, whether it be a snare or a bass or a guitar or any kind of sound clip or a vocal. It doesn't matter what it is. It all applies the same. Now, the way you use the equalizer will change, obviously, but the basics of what the equalizer does stay the same. The terms still stay the same. Now, I'm going to make a video on equalizing vocals. That'll be my next video. Leave your thoughts and your comments down below. If you want to see me do a particular video, let me know. I apologize for the sound quality of the audio narration. This is my first video, too, so I'm sorry if my quality of the narration is bad. Just bear with me here until I get through a couple of videos. So the next one will be on vocal equalization. After that, I'm going to do a video on compression, and after that we'll be using a noise gate. If there's anything else you guys want to know, please let me know. If you want to know about multi-band compression or something else of that nature, please leave it down below. I'll be gladly doing a video on that if you would like. Peace.